Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Random Gamer Riven, and please welcome, and let's start that again. My name is Random Gamer Riven, and I welcome you to the start of another week's streaming. So, on behalf of Randomised Gaming, once again I will be streaming for this week, and this week I'm going to be doing PlayStation 2 games. Thought I'd do, as soon as it's on PS1, I thought maybe it's time to do some PS2 titles. So it is Tuesday the 26th of May, and in today's stream we are going to be streaming The Red Star by XS Games. And yesterday was a bank holiday in the UK, so I didn't stream yesterday. I thought I'd take the day off. But we may have seen that we released our Geico HDMI GameCube adapter review, and if you haven't seen that and you're a GameCube fan, I highly recommend it. So I thought I'd do something a bit interesting today. This is the Red Star. This was released in 2007, and it was developed by, so let me get this, just read this again because I wrote this down earlier and thought, it was actually developed by Acclaim Studios Austin. It wasn't originally released. I think it got, because Acclaim went bust, so it sort of got a bit in limbo, and it appears that XS Games also credit themselves to development. I think Acclaim may, or members of staff of Acclaim may have become connected to Union Entertainment. Archangel Studios as well were involved in this. I believe they're the people behind the rights of the actual comic book this is based on, although it's actually written by, and I know he's actually credited on the copyright, by Christian Gossett, who is the comic book author of Red Star. So Red Star is actually a comic book, but I've never actually read it, so I can't tell you anything about the original comic book. All I can tell you is that it was written by, as I said, Christian Gossett. So this is a bit of an interesting title, as it was a bit... Basically, XS Games appear to have picked up the publishing rights in the end, and admittedly Take-Two are credited on the back of the box as well, so this really does have an absolute jumble of people who worked on it. So I'm going to create a new game. I've played this a bit before, but not much recently. So this is 1 to 2 players, but I will be on the 1 player. So there are 3 playable characters, but one of them has to be unlocked. So I've got Elite Soldier, Strength, Sorceress. Let's go with the Rebel. Got 3 characters. I may swap characters as we go along, assuming you're not stuck to the same character. So this was an interesting one. It was released in 2007, towards the end of the PS2's life. In fact, this came out roughly around about the time I actually picked up my PS2. Shows an interesting way of doing the loading screen. So this is a kind of sort of twin-stick shooter cross with an action scrolling beat 'em up. It was a bit of an interesting one when it released. One thing to say, I'm playing the PAL version, and unfortunately the PAL version... Okay, it's close combat. Shoot. Unfortunately the PAL version is 50 Hz only, sadly. So that's just a quick caveat if you plan on picking this up. I don't know if they might... It looks like it's raw 50 Hz, so you may be able to force it. This stage can be the tutorial. but it's sort of a scrolling beat 'em up come action shooter, so it's a bit of a nice one. I think some people said there's elements of bullet hell or Dankamori here. It's quite an interesting mix. I remember this game released at the time, people said it was quite a good game. This was actually, I think, one of the early games I got on my PS2. Because I think this was released at sort of a budget price, so... Okay, press R1 while facing your intended targets to require a lock-on. So let's see if I can get this lock-on attack right. To require a lock-on target, press your gun. Okay. Oh, so you can hold R1 to lock position, much like Metal Slug, and just continue to shoot. Okay, there's one way to beat them off the edge of a platform. Okay, knock that down. So yes, being a slight bit of a shooting here. This was actually a bit of an interesting crossbreed game. You've got sort of shooting elements crossed with... I suppose this is a bit of a... almost like a... not quite a bullet hell, but a shmup with an action. So it's an interesting mix, and it's something that's just rare you see games sort of mix these type of genres. It's quite an interesting title. I don't know how well it did. I don't think it helped being released at the end of the PlayStation 2's life. I don't believe it got a sequel. And as I mentioned earlier, annoyingly, it looks like this is 50Hz only, so I need to see if I can get a way to force some games. Some quite nice visuals for PS2. And this was reminding me a bit of Contra as well. I'm hoping that's the weak point. Yeah, it's the reactor. You've actually got quite a large number of moves at your disposal, I'm feeling it. So I played this a bit before. By bit I mean this is probably about as far as I played into it originally a long time ago. It's one of the games I played quite like the start and then just never got back into it. But it's quite a nice, it's a type of game you don't see this type of sort of hybrid genre necessarily that option, but it's not bad at all. Okay, that's also my bomb attack. Shield. The one. So obviously you can tell from the name there's very much a Russian theme to it. It's all based on the comic book. I assume there's some sort of you've got a sort of war-torn planet below us, so obviously some sort of thing I assume like society similar to the Russians as one world war or something. I see, so you execute special attacks and then you can do that was that super we did earlier. Quite like the fact you can knock them off the edge, that's quite good fun. Bon voyage! Yes, it's actually quite good stuff. So, but I don't think I can actually change weapons at the minute. It's actually quite a nice game. It did get quite good reviews at the time. It's one of those games I think I said it was very late to get released. The other thing is this had an Xbox version, never got released. I do know they ported it to the Xbox 360 and I believe it was going to be a digital release because someone I know at the time when I worked in the industry actually had a copy of the Xbox 360 version of this, but it was never commercially released, which is a huge shame. I'm not entirely sure what happened to Excess. They sort of disappeared, so... Although there's some evidence they appear to have been associated with Take-Two, so whether they were a subsidiary of Take-Two or something. I'll use this too. Quite good, you can kick a lot of them off the edge at the minute, so it's quite good fun. Hello there, Chris Lowell. Thanks for joining the stream. Chris Lowe, I should say. Thank you for joining the stream. I do get it's very contrary, this. Not necessarily 2D Contra, but it's certainly got a similar feel. Quite like the fast-paced action. I remember at the time this did get quite good write-ups. It's just one of those many games on the PS2 I never spent time with, but seeing as it's 50 Hz, that might explain one of the reasons. So yes, if you are going to get this, either try and force it, if there is the way to force it. I think you might be able to do that with 3 McBooty software. Seen that attack coming. Okay, avoid the laser beams. So yeah, we have a mix of scrolling beat 'em up and a bit of shoot 'em up. It is actually a very nice game. As I said a bit earlier, it's nice to see this type of mix. It's always nice to see people sort of actually create hybrid games because you can do some interesting things, and this sort of gets, you've got some solid combat mixed in with some quite nice shooting action. So you've got and down goes the next ship. Knock this guy off the edge as well, like some of the others. Nope, we've got to beat this guy. Can do a mix of shooting and close combat. It seems. And there he goes down. So yes, I'm not exactly a pro at this game. This really is literally probably the second time I played this game. Just going to dig out the manual, just see what it says. It says there are sort of upgrades you get, I think, rank depending on how well you do. So obviously, probably not the best performance. Rank B, oh, not too bad. Earned 115 points. Continue to do a ton of upgrades. Increase damage. Okay, so that's all the upgrades I'll be getting right now, but reminds me of Guardian Heroes with that upgrade level system at the end of the stage. I know a lot of games have used upgrade systems. Yeah, it's this Constantine, I believe that is. Air superiority. I mean, it does look quite nice. I said it's quite a fast-paced game. It is two-player as well. The third character is unlocked for finishing the game, so I won't be playing as the sorceress. close and actually hit it in close combat. It doesn't appear to. This is a shoot-only boss, it would seem. Oh really, is that it? Oh nice, an S rank. So that was just literally a boss battle, that stage. It's quite surprising. Okay, 200 points. What can I upgrade? Let's do that one. Obviously S rank is the best rank, I would assume. Although I probably could have done that boss without taking a hit. That wasn't that hard at all, that fight. I don't know if the art in some of those cutscenes is actually taken from the comic books. It might be. Certainly looks like it's done by the original artist. I had a brief look. I said I don't know much about the comic books of the Red Star. I know there's a couple of them. These are more sort of a graphics novel series than anything. Well, it looked interesting enough. It's not something I've actually read, but there appear to be quite a few ongoing bits, and it's all been written by the same guy. So if you're a fan of comic books, it might be well worth checking out the series. Yeah, I'm really getting a Contra vibe from this. Certainly the later Contras, which did a mix of sort of top-down and side-scrolling. Okay. Really want to get rid of the guys with the guns first. Some sort of lander incoming above us. Okay, next boss time. There's actually quite a nice range of close combat moves, and you can link them actually with the shooting. I didn't quite realise initially. Although see, there's some enemies I don't think you can actually fight in close combat. So some enemies you have to engage at range, and some you shoot at. You can deal with it close combat. Really quite nice to beat them off the edge. It's quite fun. So I can either fight them, deplete their health bar, or try and get them off the edge of the platform. As you expected, the music of the game is very much themed in sort of a Russian style. got another tank to deal with. Definitely one of those games you've got to concentrate on with how to dodge the attacks and everything. But yeah, it does have it is an interesting mix of scrolling beat 'em up and shooter. It is actually very good. I'm definitely getting a very nice Contra vibe from it. In fact, it's probably arguably better than the 2 Contra games on PlayStation 2. So there's actually 2 Contra games on the PS2 if you're interested. One is Shattered Soldiers, which is best described as the most brutally hard Contra game I have ever played. It requires you to perfectly memorise every single aspect of the entire game. And the other's Neo Contra, which is a sort of top-down one. Both of them are quite good games, but it's just Shattered Soldiers is so hard. Neo Contra is probably the slightly better one. Although Shattered Soldiers is the sort of 2D side-scrolling one. So that's... I want to upgrade to... Custody Proto meter. Yep, let's reduce cooldown. Let's do that one. Keep the heat up. So reduce the cooldown and. So far, S rank is the best rank I've obtained. I don't know if there's double S or triple S as some games have. Select for enemy data. Ah, we actually have an archive. So we've got a nice little archive here as well. Oh, we actually have a combo list. Ah, I wish I'd known that earlier. Air combo. R1 L and square. Shoot this. Yep. We got a nice selection of moves here. Dull dash as well. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Basically, I think the ranking's based on your time and how much damage you take. So the more damage you take, the less chance you'll have of getting an S rank. Blades we've got to kneel in. There she blows. Hi Cat Rick TV, thanks for joining the stream. So just to remind anyone watching, if just joining the stream, this is the Red Star, and it was released on PlayStation 2. And as I mentioned earlier, I did know someone who actually had the unreleased Xbox 360 version. Apparently they did. I know it said there was an Xbox version as well, so shame this wasn't released on the Xbox. Only the PS2 version got released in North America and Europe. It didn't get a Japanese release. This is very much a very sort of Contra SPS arcade game, as I've been finding. It's only really, as I said, probably about, this is the furthest I've definitely played into it now. I've not actually played this that much before. I just remember picking it up at the sort of 2007 when it came out, thinking, oh, a nice new PS2 game, and then didn't really get around to playing it. But it is actually very, very good. See if I can... Got a nice range of combos. Let's see if I can get her off the edge there. Oh no, that's good. There she goes. Whack that one. Yeah, it's actually very good fun, Red Star. It's one of those. Was looking at my PS2 collection, thinking, you know, what should I give a whirl? And I thought this is one game everyone said was really good, at the time, and it definitely didn't get much love. It could do with more love, that I will say. And this is a really good sort of arcade shmup come beat 'em up, basically, which is sort of. It gets you got. You've got a great selection of moves. We were just seeing earlier in the. Just bring that again to try and remember the moves. So we've got Twilight R1. Yeah, the arcade games really are dying a death these days. I suppose you've got more indie titles now that do this type of thing, but you wouldn't see a title like this from an indie game because it's quite. Its presentation for the time is actually it's more sort of AAA. Maybe not quite as good as a game, say, like Sony's quality, like God of War, but it's actually the 3D is actually very, very good. The fast pace as well. I assume, as I'm playing the PAL version, so unfortunately the PAL version is 50 Hz, so this definitely feels like a game you should be playing in 60. So. But yeah, if you're a fan of arcade games like Contra, I'm just trying to think if I can't think of there's really not many games like this 3D wise at all. I mean, you've got even the Contras. This is such a strange mix of scrolling, beat 'em up, and shooting. It's such a, and it works really well as well. You've got decent combat, and you can shoot, so you can just swap between far and. Yeah, I think the trouble with a lot of indie games, they are only small studios, and often they're really just learning the ropes. So I think in 10 years time I think we're going to have some really good indie games, because they'll have all gained the experience. But I think at the minute we still have a lot of people still getting to grips with how to develop the games, and that's why a lot of indie games do feel like they're not up to sort of 90s, even sort of 2000 standards, because I think a lot of people are having to learn the industry ropes for themselves. And if you're only a 1 or 2 man band, you really can't produce big titles. I mean, this actually had, looking at the credits list, a rather big array of people who worked on it. Supposedly, it's credited officially as Excess Games development, but everywhere said it was actually done by Acclaim Austin Studios, but the game, because Acclaim went bust before this was released, Excess then bought up the rights and released it a few years later. So I think this may have been one game that was like nearly finished when Acclaim went bust, sadly. And there's the super attack. That's really good use of the super there, blowing up the guns. So I was glad I grabbed those gun power-ups at the end of the last stage. Those cooldown ones. Yeah, this is turning into a proper bullet hell almost. Also 2-player as well, so you and your friend can battle it out. And if you missed the start, there's actually 3 different playable characters. I'm playing as the fast one, who I can't remember the name of. I'll grab the manual in a second. One character is locked out until you finish the game, but the strong guy is playable from the start as well. So I'm going to hazard to guess this might be the end of the stage. Now, Xenocrisis I've not yet played yet. That looks really good, but that was developed by a couple of industry veterans, so that looks really good, Xenocrisis. That was also developed by the artist who did Pink and a number of other games, so there was a real number of industry veterans on Xenocrisis, which is why that's such the production value on that looks really good for an indie game. Kudos to the studio that did it. So the playable characters are Maya, the Red Warska story. She's the sorceress. She's the locked out character. I'm playing as Makaya, and I'm probably going to mispronounce this totally, it's got lots of Russian names. Norgorgon Rebel, she's the Norgorgon Rebel, and Caillou Elite Soldier. Kaizo, that sounds a bit Japanese actually. So as I mentioned, this is actually based on the Red Star graphics novel, and that was also done by what's his name again? Christian Gossett, although I've not read the Red Star graphics novel, so if anyone's read it, please do say what you think of it. So I've got... Let's invest in this. Not sure what this is, the Sugarette, but I assume it's one of the guns. I'm going to finish for now because the game's quite tough with your basically depending how well you do on your ranking depends how many points you get. So the incentive to get S ranks is far more than any other ranks, as that means you'll have more dosh to buy better guns. Oh, hi, Kat. Oh, you're actually from Russia. Yeah, I believe it's a Western graphic novel, so I think it's sort of got a lot of Russian stereotypes in it. I think what it is based on some sort of fictional thing. I don't know the backstory. It's not true Russia. So let me read you the back of the box while I'm here. The Red Star tells the tale of an alternate Russia, the URRS, where massive technology and futuristic weapons are wielded by its armies, the Red Fleet. Set in a Russian-inspired parallel universe, the Red Star thrusts you into a gritty, futuristic world of chaotic warfare, industrial technology and arcane magic. The Red Star combines hard-hitting melee combat with intense old-school shooter gameplay to create an incredible fast-paced action experience like no other. Oh, and there's actually a quote here from the top: "A cross between Streets of Rage and Nicaragua, ingenious and fresh," from Tom Bramwell of Eurogamer.net. The site's still going today. I think Tom Bramwell was the former editor of Eurogamer. I might be wrong. Yeah, I think this is sort of Russian inspired, as you read there. Yeah, it's actually, I mean, I briefly played this when I bought it many years ago. I think the last time I have played this is like 2008 or something. Guiltily, there's quite a few games like that I've played once. But it is actually really good. It just gets the two genres well. The close combat's really good and the shooting's really good. The lock-on, you basically can lock on with the R1 button. And that rapidly locks on really nicely. So it plays, and you've got fast-paced movement. You can defend with the X button. And it just plays really smoothly, so I have no qualms with the controls at all. It plays really nicely, which is what you need for this type of genre. It's actually a really nice game. Certainly one of the better games Acclaim actually worked on towards the end of their career. It's a shame they didn't actually release this. I mean, I do remember this being around. Quite a lot of places had this when I was sort of buying games, and this was back when I was in London. I lived in London, so I do remember seeing this around a lot. But I don't know how many other people bought this, but I do remember seeing it a lot. I will be getting an S rank this stage, taking that damage right at the start. There's like a nice little dash combo in the air as well. So you've got there's a nice yeah, this is very much lots of bosses. Although I would disagree with Tom Bramwell, I'd say this is very little like Streets of Rage. This is more... It's mainly more like Contra. I think the closest games remind some of the old sort of Taito beat on some of the early Capcom ones are actually top screen like Avenger as well. But it's such a nice mix because you just don't see... Off he goes. It's quite nice being able to like whack enemies off the platforms as well. I'm thinking I might do some indie streaming this week, but this week, as always, I'll be streaming from 9:30. So, as mentioned, Monday was bank holiday here in the UK, so I took that off, but I will be streaming again. I'll be doing PS2 games all this week. That's okay, no worries. Your English sounds really good to me, Carrick. It's always nice to have someone with me on the stream, especially from someone from another part of the world. We're UK-based randomised gaming, so... We are streaming since the current world events. I've been streaming every night at 9:30 just to sort of give people sort of gaming starts. And because we're called randomised gaming, I have been mixing it up each day with a different game from sort of different genre. So we've been trying to avoid like having the same games. So we're doing lots of different games from lots of different series on lots of different platforms. One day I'd like to do some Amiga streaming, but that does mean digging out the Amiga and hoping it plays ball. Is that big guy still here? Yeah. He goes at the ramp. Yeah, so you've got a nice range. She's got a jump attack as well if you hold back. Oh, is that another boss? Sort of sub-troop. Press select for enemy data, okay. That's cool. No, you're very welcome to join me on the stream. I just always like showing off games sort of a mix. We do some popular games, but it's nice to do sort of lesser known ones that people haven't played before. It's always nice to hear about people who see one of the games. It's actually, I saw your stream or I saw your video and I picked it up, because that's what I really set up randomised gaming for, to really show off games that people hadn't seen or played before and really show. Doing a super attack there, let's see if that finishes it off. Yes. Ooh, another boss. Guns we grow. Okay, this one's not too. Just shoot the hands and. That's quite a good game if you wanted to speedrun it, because you can knock off enemies off platforms. You can really increase your speed time. Especially seeing that it's interesting watching speedrunners these days, because a lot of the time I'm just seeing, like today, they're talking about basically mass cheat. It's kind of weird when you do people talk about doing a speed run, and their idea of speed running is using glitches to try and finish it as fast as possible. It's not really speed running, that's just cheating your way to the exit as fast as possible. I've really got to move my forward. Because you've got to see where they're going to shoot, and then I've got to move fast. Yeah, it's not as hard as... I mean, it looks tricky, but for me it's not as hard as a lot of the Denmark sort of cave shooters, which are really, really tough. This is probably about my level. This is more reactionary. You can just about see what's going to happen, and you just about have enough time to react, which I really like, which is really good design because the balance is spot on. Some games like the cave shooters, the balance is too far to the... You just got to remember it next playtime. Whereas this, you can see the attacks are almost perfectly signposted, so you can see them coming. You get just enough time to try and avoid them. Attacking before. Before that starts hitting me. Let's go for the super hit. This thing takes a lot of damage. Okay, there he goes. That's definitely an armoured enemy. You can go off the edge. Can I get this guy off the edge? Yeah. Yeah, so some of the enemies are shielded, so you can't just shoot everyone. You have to mix it up between your combat and gunning. Got some nice lock-on attacks as well, so you really can move around quickly with the lock-ons. Yeah, basically you can lock onto an enemy and then you can directly attack them. I see, so yeah, the combat really is good. It really is. Once you've locked on, you can either use the lock-on to institute a close contact. So I'm going to get this guy up. Get him off. Yes, there he goes. You're welcome, Carrick. Please, you're welcome to chat and join anytime. Remember, we're streaming from 9:30 every night, so you're always welcome to join us. And have a good night. Yeah, I realise it's quite late in Russia because you're an hour ahead, and a couple of hours ahead of us. So. Okay, this is where it gets a bit more trickier. Can't jump on that platform either, it looks like so. I need some health. This is the closest to death I've been yet, so... Okay, that health was perfectly timed for this boss battle. Yeah, I must admit the difficulty, I think, for me is just about right. It's that perfect... It has a level of skill, but it's not so outright hard that it requires you to sort of memorise every pattern perfectly. Stay central on the damage this thing, yeah. Part of this one, Sentinel Front, okay. I assume this will be the boss at the end of this. I assume once we beat this boss, this will be the end of the stage. You know, I'm having quite a lot of fun. I might stay for a few extra minutes. I was just going to finish straight at 10:30, but I might stay for a bit longer, do the next stage as well. Actually, really enjoying this. Really well balanced game, really well done. I think if I do it properly I should get Random Gamer Green to help me, and we should try and do it too, Black. This is really well done. I think this is about 10 stages, so it's not the biggest game, but I think it probably takes a couple of hours to finish. 2, 3, 4 hours probably max. I think we're done about a third of the game in an hour. Eek took too much damage, so that doesn't mean I'll be able to buy much. I can buy next to nothing. I think I'm not going to be getting any upgrades. Oh, why not? Get some armour. I didn't feel like getting most armour before because I wasn't that close to death. On that stage I got quite close to death, so... So I'm playing on PlayStation 2, by the way. I'm using components, and as mentioned earlier, this is the power version, and unfortunately it is 50 Hz. But for you guys, I've stretched the screen so you can see what it appears to you to be full screen, because I've used the Open Broadcast to slightly stretch the picture to make it nice and full screen. Chapter 06. Guess we won't be beating enemies off the ledge here. It's going to be fighting all the way. Obviously, whenever it says enemy data, that means there's a new enemy. Great attacks for this one, really good combos. Admittedly, I should probably read more about. There's the airborne one. Okay, so that's the airborne. So back and attacks the airborne launcher. Probably just want to do the forward rush with this guy. The other one's just basically hit square and then finish off with a shot at the end. I quite like that fast attack. I think that's probably the best one. The only thing I can see is if you probably don't get S ranks early on, it will likely affect your ranking overall, I suspect, because the game, I suspect, probably wants you to get faster and upgrade. So I imagine if you do poorly throughout the game and get less upgrades, you won't be able to beat the enemies fast enough to get the better ranks in later stages. That's me speculating, but I think that's probably how the ranking system works. Throwing me the bomb names to beat this big guy. Can break their shields as well, it seems. We get it right. Yeah, you seem to be able to. There's a window where just before they do that launch attack, you can hit them, which if you do then, it seems to destroy their shields. Or just knock off their shields and then gun them. The game's actually quite nice. Each stage is introducing new enemies, so we've got plenty of new enemies keep coming for us, which is quite nice. So it keeps it fresh, which is always a really good thing with this type of sort of scrolling beat. You always want these stages to introduce new enemies just to keep the game fresh and keep mixing up. Super there, got most of them. Okay, these girls are really annoying with the These guys are slow enough, you cannot to get around them close. That big shot's quite handy to do as well. Now this is my type of game. I do like lots of bosses, so we've got plenty of bosses in this, I will say. really better watch myself now. I'm getting very dangerously low on health at this point. And that's... Eek. Okay, where's this going to restart me, seeing as I've got bomb top? I will probably finish this here. I'll just see if this restarts me the boss at the start of the stage. Chapter 06. Okay, I think that's quite a nice point to leave it there. We played through quite a large chunk of the game, which I wasn't expecting doing in this video. So that was Red Star on the PlayStation 2. Actually, really good. I must admit, it's not really played that much before, but yeah, really enjoyable. Really highly recommended. It can be picked up relatively cheap on the PS2 as well. It's not an expensive game. Last time I checked, so yeah, I highly recommend that. Said the only caveat being the PAL version is 50Hz only, and it's clearly an American game. It's clearly designed to be 60Hz. I mean, it's not quite, I mean, it's ish full screen looking at my TV, but it does feel like it's suffering a bit because it's saying it's only running at 50Hz, so it looks like it's not optimized for 50. But that's all I'm going to say about that. I think it's a really nice little title. Highly recommend it. I think we should do a full playthrough on the channel at some point and maybe get a second one. But I think I'd like to try and get a 60Hz copy, or at least find a way to force this into 60Hz before we do. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I have been your host, Random Gamer Riven. Thank you for watching this stream. As always, if you enjoyed the stream, please do hit the like button. And if you don't know if anyone has hit the like button. Unfortunately, there's a weirdness where at the minute... the stream settings are actually a bit messed up, I've noticed. There's some sort of bug with the concurrent viewers, likes and chat revenue, where the concurrent viewers at some point just freezes and just locks. So I then need to exit out, and there's a weird bug with YouTube I need to report to them. So yeah, it's really good fun this. I've quite enjoyed it. I've been very impressed with it. And yeah, enjoyable game. If you like Contra, if you like arcade sort of shooters, scrollers, it's sort of a good mixed title there with some balanced level up system. It does save as well. I don't know if it saves your character's level up. So, but yes, very good title. That was quite surprising. I didn't think that was going to be as good as what it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this randomised gaming stream. I have been your host, Random Gamer Riven, and since the stream's ending, as always, I will wish you a good night, a good evening, a good afternoon, or a good morning, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for watching. Again, if you like our content, please do hit that like button. And, of course, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do hit that subscribe button if you want to keep watching our content. I'll be back bright and early in the afternoon or the evening, 9:30 tomorrow, with another PlayStation 2 game. I have no idea what I'll be streaming yet, but I will look at what we've got and pick something. And I will see you all tomorrow in the stream. Thank you and have a good night, everyone.